Are we on?
Yes, sir.
The meeting is now called to order. Let our records show that we do have a quorum present. We'll start with the national flag, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the state flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Well, thank all of you for coming out today. Do we have any visitors present today other than our normal group?
We have the auditors.
The auditors are here. Okay, we'll hear from them later.
Yes.
We have 5 items on our action agenda. Number 1 is our consent agenda. It's our first item. I don't know, we didn't get anything earlier.
Yeah. So those items were sent to you, the previous minutes for Thursday, December the 3rd, were sent to the board members. So hopefully everybody had a chance to review those, and we want to make a motion.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting? Well,
second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Second. Motion carried. Jana,
Did everybody get that
did you get
information?
Dr.
Dr.
Dykes
Dykes, and approval
Make a
by
motion.
Dr. Odell.
Got a second. We have
The next item is the 2014-2015 fiscal year-end audit. We do have our auditor present here. Thank you for joining us today. And at this time, I'm going to allow her to speak.
Great. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Manager Christian, for all the information that they've given us. We gathered a lot of information this year, and we had to implement the GASB 68 rule into your audit, and so that required a lot more information than we usually get because we had to go back and do a statement for that. So I want to thank y'all very much for all the information that you provided.
Thank you.
So basically, I'll go over the 3 most important pages that we consider, and then we'll go back and talk about the changes for the audit. So if you will flip with me.
Dr. Odell.
You'll flip with me to page 5. This is where we issue our opinion letter, which is what we consider the most important page of your audit. You received an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that you can receive that there are no material misstatements and that all disclosures have been made in the report. So great job on that. All right, if you will flip with me now to page 25. This is going to be your revenues and expenditures page. So we're basically going to be focusing on your general fund column. That's that column number 10. So if you're following on the data control column to the left-hand side, if you're going down to row 5020, you'll see your total revenues for general fund were $3,806,473. Following down the page to line 6030, you'll see that your total expenditures were $3,717,891, leaving you a positive net change to your fund balance of $88,582. So you'll see that you had that beginning fund balance. So along with that $88,000, that increased your ending fund balance to $232,092. So good job on the increase on your fund balance. The next page, we're going to flip to page 41. This is basically where we're going to compare the numbers that you actually have to what you budgeted. So if you're looking over in that right-hand column, the variance column, that's what we we're focusing in on this page. On the revenues, it looked like you received a little less than what you projected on your state revenues, and then again on your federal revenues, it didn't look like you had something on that part of it. If you're coming down to the bottom on your expenditures, that next little section on your expenditures, none of those, you were all positive on your variances, so you stayed well below what you had budgeted for the year, so great job on that. So that's basically what we consider the three most important pages of the audit. I know that there were some questions on the net position once we implemented the GASB 68 and we added those numbers in. So we're briefly going to go back to those numbers.
This is what the new law has, this is what she's about to talk about, that new gas.
Net position pays is broken out just a little bit, which is going to be page 19. The University of Texas system, the retirement, there's a liability amount that's out there. And so what we had to do is come back and find what the University of Texas Tyler's portion of that liability would be. And we were provided that information through the comptroller, the state comptroller. They had a sheet that was broken down. And then we had to come up with just IAA's portion of that liability. So once we added those numbers in, that led to that negative net position of the $527,728 that you're seeing on that page. I know there was concern from Mark with the first rating it's our understanding with TEA that they are excluding the net pension liability and the net pension expense from their indicators, so that will be excluded when they use that, so that they're not going to ding you for that negative net position. That was, I think Robert had talked to him, and that was what the
and Mark has been in contact with them since this morning as well, so he's got some additional information that he may want to share.
Right, so that's our understanding how that was, and that it separates you a little bit out. The university charters are having to follow GASB, and that was, I think, one of the reasons that Robert wanted everybody pulled together so that you could have that coalition to, in case they come back with something other on that negative net position, because everybody across the board, all governmental agencies are having to implement the GASB 68, so everybody's recording that negative, that liability, which is bringing a lot of the governmental the cities, counties, it's not just school districts, everybody has got that in there.
So, as a follow-up to that, whenever we're rated on our accountability, we're rated on what's called the first rating. And question number 5 on here, which is just a yes or no. If it's a no, it's a failure. If it's a yes, it's a pass for the whole rating. Says with the total asset balance of the statement of financial position for the charter greater than 0. And if you'll notice on here that we have a negative $527,000. So that was, the cause of concern. I did talk to TEA. I have written confirmation from them that the net pension expenses and net pension liability would be subtracted out, which basically puts us back at that positive $239,000 balance. According to what the auditors have rated us on, according to what we see as the first rating, I fully expect us to come up with another 100% on our rating once all the dust settles and everything. But when you look at it, it's scary, $527,000. That's not an average figure for that.
And so GASB is new. So this is the first time it's reflected in an audit, correct? I just want to confirm that. Okay. And that what
it is not a true liability. I mean, if IA dissolved today, there's nothing that they owe, so it's not a true liability. It's some arbitrary number out there, it's an accounting entry that somebody's made on here so that we can report that liability. So,
and what we're understanding from the other university charters that we have networked with, that they're in the same situation
Yes.
that we are.
Yes.
So it's not just us sitting here talking with TEA.
right.
We are all in the same situation. Everybody that has completed their audit has a negative balance, and it's all in a reflection of GASB, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So-
Again, on page 57, there's where we have those first two figures. They did change those to the presentation of what we're putting in the audit. When we're changing that, we added those bottom two lines, the net pension liability and the net pension expense. So, and we were told to put those in there so they would know exactly what numbers to back out of those figures.
Oh, good.
As Darla kind of explained to me too, is that for the next few years, as our net asset continues to be in the positive, that number is going to get less and less negative to the point that
The potential is there for that if you grew, that would eventually be absorbed into that.
But it would take several years. So we're looking at even in the next year to 2 years, always having a negative balance, no matter what we do. Yeah.
My understanding is that we have no assets to put against it.
Right.
Because the university owns it.
Right.
And so it's arbitrary, like you said, it's just.
Yeah, and then, so we got a Texas agency, TEA, that's, I guess that's the big picture is we have a Texas agency that is looking at a Department of Texas with IAA. I mean, that's basically what it drills down to, and that it's the same agency. I mean, you're all backed by the same numbers.
Yeah.
The qualifying.
But we all know how crucial the first rating is
Right.
to us and to continue operation. And so, you can imagine that when we looked at this report and we saw the negative balance, the immediate concerns that we began to address. But I just want to thank Mark and Jama and Christian. I know they've all been in contact, and you as well as the auditors with TEA to follow up with them to make sure. I do like the fact that they've asked you to pull those numbers out, and that even makes it even more evident that they are going to likely subtract those numbers. And Mark, if it's my understanding, when we do subtract those numbers, we have over a $200,000 positive.
Whatever reason this year they decided not to, we still pass this particular indicator because we had a more than 10% increase in student enrollment.
So there is something in there that says that in the event you do have a negative balance, so what they're thinking is, but you've had a 10% increase, then you would still pass. So we're really in a better situation than some because of our growth.
And as a firm, we're willing to, whatever TE comes, let's say that they don't find the way that we all are expecting them to find, that we're willing to go back and discuss it with them further.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things that we learned in creating our relationship with TEA that's been very powerful. In fact, we're going down at the 1st of February, meeting again with the university network, and TEA individuals will be there as well, is that is to appeal these things and to make sure your voice is heard so that they really know that sometimes that you're back in a corner and there's really no way that you can, come out with a positive balance or things. So.
And I think for them, they're lumping all charter schools together, and we all know that you're
Yeah.
charter school.
And they don't realize that until we bring it to their attention is what we've found. So again, thanks to everyone for the efforts they made. Appreciate Mark following up and trying to get us something in writing this morning. Because, it's one thing hearing someone tell you over the phone, but, now that we have something in writing, that's even more beneficial as well.
And on this note, our legislative affairs office, as well as systems, is working with the other university charter school systems to get TEA for the legislature before they pass these things in the future to say there aren't just charters in public schools, there are university charters, which are state agencies, versus, so like we have a whole purchasing mess this year now because of changes in the law too. who we can buy from. But anyway, so it's on their radar. Now, I have a question because this growth thing only works, but every university charter I know has a cap. What if we hit the cap? We're not gonna grow. You see what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, I realize that. So I don't know if that'll mean that I don't know if they'll come back and make changes to how we're presenting this information, or I think that will eventually come out that, just like you said, that they're at least we've got it on their radar, that they're reviewing that this isn't exactly like everybody else's.
Because we are
point.
down by a high end number.
Right, yeah, you got the backing, so yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of it that way. All right.
I just have for my own knowledge.
Okay.
The pension liability, I'm hearing the university just started that and gas fee. I guess my content knowledge is not where I'd like it to be when that's being said. What is the 729,000? So it's the TR that we are putting that forward.
Yes.
And the way Darla explained it to me made really good sense, so I'd like to kind of speak to that.
That's really what I'm looking
Is
for. Can I do it?
There was kind of a misconception, I think, at first, that it was the actual contributions we're making, because she was looking through the actual contributions that have been made. But those contributions are deducted from our balance every month, and so our fund balance already has those contributions deducted from it. And so that was kind of the question, we're like, why are you deducting it again? And her explanation is really it's the long-term liability of when teachers start to retire, there's this liability to pay their retirement, but they're really not working for you, and you've already replaced them and you're paying somebody else. So it's like, it's that long-term, they're doing those actuarial formulas to figure out how long do men live and how long do women live, and if you're a smoker or not a smoker. So what's that long-term projection?
I
So
get,
that's
yeah,
what those numbers are.
liability, I'm looking at this, it's kind of the future protection, if you will.
Right.
But we are, when we pay TRS, and then that's part of our calculation. And then it's just saying, all right, well, we have X number of faculty or instructors, so we have to also account for when they retire, which could be years down the road. So we're having to count that now, and that's the big argument then.
Yes.
Even though it's really
Count
not
it
the UT
twice.
Tyler or UT system issue, they're giving it to us. But
So they don't do that in regular public schools or in other
Yeah,
charters,
no, they are. This year, everybody is having to record that.
but it's just the fact that the other entities have these assets to just counteract it, so they're not making it an issue.
Well, on some of them, it's not as much of an issue. Yes, it is causing negative net positions. They don't have the assets to take care of it. So it just depends on where they are financially and how long, what their fund balance is sitting at.
So there are ISDs that are in our same situation is what you're trying to say, because of GASB,
Well,
that they're in a negative balance or
On
not?
the other charter schools, they're a nonprofit, so they don't follow exactly the same standards that you're following. So that's the other thing, is you're being compared to somebody that's a nonprofit, and it's not apples to apples.
But ISDs is what I'm saying. Or
Yes, ISDs, yes, they're having to report the same thing.
Yes, and so
Yes.
you're seeing some of that, the same thing in the ISDs, that they're in there with that
They're
negative.
having those large pensions also. This one is not as large just because y'all are small. They're sometimes are in the millions.
Which have never been, what we're
Right.
saying. So if you look back over their past audits, that they've had a positive balance.
Yes.
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 So essentially, she explained it to me too as well, that, basically the state of Texas said, we want to, we calculated up our liability as a whole state of Texas. And they decided, we want to know what percentage everybody is of that. And so the way she calculated this was essentially she went through all of the contributions for 3 fiscal years, 13, 14, and 15, and she compared it to how much were our contributions for the IA compared to the university's contributions as a whole, compared to the state of Texas as a whole. And so essentially that number is coming from that percentage that she calculated, that percentage of what the state has already calculated to be their entire liability. So the state said, this is our liability, here's the amount. You tell us how much of a percentage you are of that amount. And so she had to calculate the percentage that applies to that, and that's where that figure's coming from.
and you have something written and they're like, don't worry about it, it's gonna be taken care of, and
The email right here.
right, yeah, and that gives solace and comfort, but I guess if, to me, it just seems like this is why is it not being made a larger issue if all entities are having this being double, I guess, what will I say, double?
Well, it's not really doubled because your expense is out there. It goes back to the statement.
What's the, I guess, the $729,777, we actually get that money out of our pocket.
No, it's just, right.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying it's not a true liability. If I dissolve,
We paid all that.
the state of Texas absorbs that $729,000 and gives it to everybody else.
Yeah, but in the future, that's the thing, is the expectation of how.
Right.
My thing is, it's just crazy that we're getting evaluated.
Since it's a
on
GASB
bottom
standard.
line when we have.
That's it right there. Since it's a GASB standard, it's just an accounting procedure, is what it is.
It's as if last
You
year's
couldn't call it not
evaluation
an asset.
didn't have to consider the GASB because GASB wasn't required last year. So this year's evaluation is making adjustments for that. So they're gonna look at last year's, but they're gonna back out certain numbers before they do a yes or no. So once they back ours out, we should be fine.
So we get confident that it's going to back out. I just, crazy that you have to, in your report, do this bottom line, and it does say the code investment.
Yeah.
This officer, I said, you know, we got $527,000 in the hole, what are they doing over at IA? It's like, no, wait.
And heart attack.
Yeah.
Well, one of our questions has been, how long are they gonna give us, is the expectation that we are supposed to eventually get it to the positive, so how long are they giving us to do that? And that hasn't really been.
But my argument would be that we shouldn't be trying to get, we are in the positive by $200,000.
Right.
This is an insignificant number that somebody puts in there that has no financial effect on us right now.
So those guys that are up there setting up these GASB 68s and all of
I know it's a pretty hard kind of situation to have right now. I know we're confident that it is you that have influence elsewhere. But it may be very good to say, this is, we do have the weight of.
We have a new commission argument.
Yeah.
And to say, this is something that is not fair to everyone.
And-
Everybody.
Oh, yes. We
Yeah.
have a, believe me, have created a special interest group, university charters.
But it's kind of guys, these two come on that too, and have more.
I'm sure that they really, in the afternoon, they're gonna fight back.
I guess I was just.
And John, just to make you feel better, my view is, so this year they said that, I wanna make sure going forward, it's not an issue.
Right. And that's what my question to Margo is like, how long are they shooting us to this issue? Are they gonna continue to back it out forever? Are they expecting us to dissolve that at some point?
But the university, it's really not an issue, it's just they've chosen to pull our stuff out, which creates some predicament. That'd be like pulling out the College of Engineering and saying, that college, which has no assets per se.
Right.
That's what they meant as. And so one of the things this group that's meeting is to try to educate them that you need to have you have a separate subsection for our existence. You need a separate subsection of financial rules that recognize we are a state agency, not an ISD or a 501c3.
Yes.
But until this year, there were only a few. We're up to what,
6, I think that's what we're at right now.
and Sam Houston is opening 6 schools. Commerce is opening a school. TCU and North Texas are looking at the paperwork now. So pretty soon, I'm guessing most universities will have their own set of schools, and then there will be enough of them that where they actually have to pay attention to how the negative rules will work towards. So,
So this portion of the pension contribution liability was less than 1%. So
Yeah, it's very small.
very small. So my question is the larger percentage a part of the university? And will that part have to be included in their audit, or is it? That's a far-reaching question. That's far-reaching, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure on your audit whether if you're disclosing that, are you? Is that?
UT Tyler's financial reports are combined with all the other UT system, whether it's
Oh,
MD
okay.
Anderson or UT Austin,
Okay.
and it's shown on the system-wide level. So it's not on UT Tyler's, but it's on UT systems that includes UT Tyler.
And
So-
that is where we got the information from, so that we could come up with this percentage of that.
So it's just the governmental accounting standards board law that has to be implemented in school districts. And TEA actually had no control over it either. Then. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And if she doesn't book those entries, then she's not following GASB, and she'd have to give us an unmodified opinion.
Right.
Which would
Right.
make us
Exactly.
say, so it's a catch-22.
It would be a modified.
I'm sorry, modified opinion, sorry.
I know,
Yeah.
those words seem backwards too. It's probably those gas.
Yeah.
Motion to have a choice. Can we get a motion to accept the audit? Do we have a second? We have a motion and second to accept the audit. All in favor? Say aye. Opposed, same sign.
So the motion was
It
by
was-
Dr. Lamb, correct?
Right, and it was
Okay,
second by
and
Dr.
Dr.
Dykes.
Dykes. Okay, I just want to make sure that.
Thank
Kristen
you
got
very
that.
much. We appreciate the
Thank
time
you
you
so
spent
much,
in
and I know that you
school, our
left
district.
early this morning from Houston. I heard about your incident with the packet, so.
FedEx didn't deliver your reports to me yesterday, so I drove to Houston this morning and got those. Anyway,
Yeah.
press this.
Well, if you would like to enjoy some barbecue.
I'm good. I did make sure that they were gonna cover my speeding ticket on my expenses.
Good
Thank you.
deal. Hey, thank you
Appreciate
so much. Be careful.
Thank y'all. And really, if y'all need anything else, please.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Appreciate it so
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay,
The
the next item is the budget amendments for 2015 and 16. At this time, I'm going to turn that over to Christian.
Can I just make one quick?
Yes.
In the very back of your book, I inserted a single sheet. It's a replacement of the last sheet in the Staples packet that we found a couple of adjustments.
Okay.
It got edited, and so it's just a replacement of that last sheet
Okay.
that we got.
Okay, so we received some, more revenue, and we have received a few donations, and then we also received some federal funds, so that's the first part of that,
Got it.
amendment there.
I'm sorry, where are we?
I don't see.
Budget amendment.
Now we're in the current year rather than.
It's in your packet.
Okay, the first Excel sheet.
Yes.
Thank you.
Fourth page of your packet.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The first
No
one
problem.
is donations and some federal revenue that we received. And then below the expenses, we need to show where we're gonna expense that revenue, so those are, the revenue that we received, we showed an expense under instruction, and then also instructional leadership.
So your local revenue was in donations?
Yes,
And the
there was local grants and donations under local revenue.
Yeah, congratulations to the Tyler campus received the Lowe's grant to create an outdoor classroom. We applied for that.
And those actually are not included in the expense portion yet, because we don't exactly know where they're gonna fall.
Yes, not yet.
We don't know exactly what's being purchased with it.
Okay.
So until we know where,
So you just put it in instructions.
there's not even.
So what is it, the local revenue this time?
I'm sorry.
So what makes up the 27?
The local,
2 donations and a Lowe's grant that the town campus did.
Go for the 20,000 donation from Longview, 3,000.
So the development put that money in one of your guys' accounts?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I wasn't clear how that was gonna work. So,
Yes.
So the $20,000 donation for development comes into that.
The school doesn't have a way to accept the funds, so the development office, the university has to accept the funds.
A
I
donation.
wasn't clear if they were going to create a separate development account, or they, apparently they worked it out, that's great.
Yes. We have a separate account for our name for it, but it's insurance.
No, we're actually starting to get some donations from community members and businesses, and so really excited about that.
There's, yeah, that's the increase of the idea.
Yes, sir.
Those are
Oh, that's the federal money.
Federal money in it.
But yes,
Okay.
Make a motion?
IDEA, Title I and Title II are all federal.
Yeah.
grants.
Title I, Part A, I noticed it from where it's the same as the increase. Is that a position specific to that Title I?
That's the total one.
$20.
Instructional leadership?
You say putting all the time on that.
Oh, yes,
That's
yes.
the total.
It's all under instructional leadership, yes.
So it was something, I guess, we hired.
It's this figure right here.
Yes, it's for salaries under that, portion.
Do we have a motion to accept the budget amendment?
Make a motion. I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, vote sign aye. Any opposed, same sign. Next item on the agenda is the approval of innovation courses, MAPS 1 and MAPS 2.
At this time, I'm going to let Mrs. Cryer talk about this.
Okay, so the MAPS 1 and 2 course, MAPS stands for Methodology for Academic and Personal Success. The reason that this kind of came about was the need to have a course for credit for some of our students that may not be able to be completely successful in like an engineering course or Spanish language course due to their disability. And that was kind of the original thought behind this course, because what we ran into this year, first let me explain, the course is for 9th and 10th graders. It's basically the student can get it from 1 semester through 4 semesters, however much of it that they would need. And they would earn a half a credit per semester. So they could get half a credit all the way up to 2 credits for this particular course. It is approved by the state of Texas as being considered an innovative course, which is an added bonus to that. And so basically what's happened is we have a few students who came to us, who, you know, their IEP and their disability, the art committee felt that they would not necessarily be successful in engineering as a freshman. So they thought, you know, we want to hold them off a year and give them engineering as a sophomore. They need to adjust to the high school setting, the more workload, and all of those things. Additionally, the Spanish content was going to be, they felt difficult for those students because they were struggling in their general core content, and to try to take on the language would be something that they felt they wanted to push off. And so at this time, those students have been enrolled in what we've been calling like a content mastery type course, and they're working with an instructor. They basically skip IED class and they go to this content course, and they're receiving like more one-on-one instruction. They're learning how to organize, how to be successful in the classes that they are in, you know, math and reading, or English language arts, social studies, and whatnot. And we started looking through the PEIMS codes of what can we classify as content mastery class. And they used to allow you to develop local courses for that. Well, they've done away with that. And so we could not find a service ID for a course that the state approved that would fit what these kids were really doing. We did find one course that it's basically called like college readiness. I think it's called college readiness, and it's a half credit. And it essentially teaches like study skills and whatnot. So that's what we kind of have attached to that course doing right now. But they're only allowed to be in it for 1 semester and earn a half a credit. So that leaves us with what is going to happen to the next semester. And that's where this course kind of came in. It would allow us to provide those students with an innovative course to improve their content mastery, study skills, help them with the more rigorous material, and to be successful in the classes that they are enrolled in. And so but it does have to be approved by the board because it is an innovative course. And so we wanted to basically have this in our toolkit for those students that really need it. And that's where this came from.
And we currently have like 2 or 3. Is that what my understanding is? Like it's very limited. It's only
Yes, and
for,
it's actually only,
yeah.
Yes, and it's actually only occurring on the Tyler campus with, I think it is 3
Students, yeah.
And they're 9th graders. And so that's really what the whole purpose behind this was. But on the side note, it would additionally, or it could potentially, by having it approved and in the toolkit, if the decision was made, you know, the state's having to look at this idea of extending the day for the minutes, and they've been arguing that point. And so if they come back and say you have to extend your day, you know, that might be something that could be utilized as advisory
To give kids a credit.
Yes, but yet they're getting credit, because right now, the charter requires that these kids be in an advisory period, because that's what we wrote in, and they are in an advisory period, but it's not a credit-based advisory period. So they're learning, advisory skills, and they're being, learning about career development and those types of things, but it's not credit-based, where this would allow them to get that credit. Additionally, it looks like the computer science may be considered, or is going to
That will be signed in this week.
Okay, signed in this week to be, to count as the foreign language, the coding, the computer coding will be their foreign language. So then that means that they could take Spanish as the elective. But if they don't take Spanish as elective, well, then what are you going to replace that credit with? That, again, could maybe be this course. So they're not losing the credit, but they're gaining that option.
So this course would allow us not only to serve select students with the special needs, but also could allow some flexibility, as well as we get transfers in. That's another thing that to support them.
Really kind of speaks to the fact that, like with our Spanish course, it's an online course this year. We all kind of spoke about the dramatic shift for students to go into the online environment
for them to get in there as
an online course, and the need to support them and provide them, some guidance on, okay, how do you maneuver in an online course? What does it mean to be in an online course? You have to check your work, and you have to submit your work, and all of those things. This could be a time during this class where they learned to be successful in that environment as well. You do have some students who are going to move forward with dual credit. This could be a time for them to get that extra guidance to be successful in those dual credit classes. So there's a lot of,
They wouldn't sign up for that.
not necessarily,
No,
but I mean, if
they would not.
yeah, I'm saying the potential is there that if it needed to be utilized for those things, if it was approved, it could be utilized.
So going forward, so just the background on Spanish, just so everybody knows the history. Up until last year, computer science always counted as foreign language. Then they decided it didn't. And then they got pretty good pushback on that, and now it does again, or it will be once it's signed this week. So that would have been nice to have known that they were going to back off that. The only other thing, this is great because the population surge, but the state is also looking at getting rid of innovative courses. And this could be a 1-year fix.
Yeah.
I believe with a new commissioner, there might be some pushback on getting rid of innovative courses. And so what that means to us is, like right now, our Project Legal Aid courses all have their own course number in the state system. They're all innovative courses. What they would do instead is say, no, everybody has to learn Engineering 1, Engineering 2, Engineering 3, Engineering 4. And the school decides what the content is. And so the LTW would be our textbook. That has all sorts of issues associated with it, but that's for all innovative courses, and there's a lot of them. And the reason everybody's nervous is they always said, when do those courses come under review? And it's on the website. It always used to say TBA. All of them now have a date that they're under review. And so another thing this isn't just us, but lots of people are down in the state asking why it seems to be driven by one office at the TEA. So. But we do need something for some of these special ed kids.
To continue to give them the credit and the support that they need.
You're bringing up innovative courses and stuff like that. We also have the LWW on campus in general. So that's something that's going to affect more than just this course.
So it affects everything. Yeah, it doesn't change what we do. It just says it has to have a specific title. They're going to standardize all courses across the state. The districts won't be able to do locals, and they won't be able to be innovative. And I'm guessing the rural districts are going to have a heart attack because that creates all sorts of other issues. But I'm just making you aware that people are trying to get that resolved now. And on the minutes thing, is everybody aware of that law that was passed this last legislative system? We must go to school 776 times a year, and then they decided they had to be divvied up a certain number of ways. Oh, it's amazing.
Did we up the number of credit?
No. Remember,
We just have to keep it for longer.
Yes.
We don't have to teach it.
But
It didn't affect a lot of schools, but those that are.
They've already gone to TEA and to the lieutenant governor and to others. That was not the intent to undermine what innovative schools were doing. But it's not clear we can get any relief for next year because our legislature only meets every other year, but there might be able to avoid, anyway, that's being looked at. So we haven't announced anything yet because we don't know what the outcome is. But right now, if the law is implemented, if we don't extend next year, we will be dinged on our money. So it's crazy, crazy times.
So we're going to, right now, the plan is 10/3/15 next year.
Well,
Sorry.
if that,
No set.
Yeah,
we should know
we're
within
still
the next
waiting.
month
We're
or so if
hoping.
There's gonna be somebody that says, if it's in your charter, you get a waiver, you know,
Yeah,
or.
that's what we're hoping.
We're
I
not good at.
guess since it was a legislative action, that unless there's some way to get a waiver, then next year we'll have to go to it. And when the legislation meets again, they promise to address it.
So right now, this year, we're under that rule, they're just choosing not to ding anybody for it. So they could choose to do that again next year.
And this all has to be face-to-face, see kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the other issue, they didn't know that, they didn't think through the whole.
FTE.
so let's make a motion for the approval, because we're getting off task.
You don't have a problem until you try to get it in writing.
When we first contacted them about it, they said, oh, that doesn't apply to charter schools. Well, then later they released an FAQ that said, it doesn't apply to charter schools, but if you don't meet the number of minutes, your funding's gonna be prorated. So then we're like, well, wait a minute, so then obviously it does apply, because nobody wants to get the funding.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and move forward with the motion.
Real quick question. Is this utilized, the course, other school districts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Utilize it?
Yeah.
This GA, we got teams here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is what this was for.
Do we have a motion to accept the two new courses? Motion to accept the two new, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Post same sign. 7.
Approval of GPA revisions for students taking advanced level classes, and this time I'm gonna let Ms. Peterson speak to this.
You don't already.
It's not a
We don't-
GPA, well, it's not really a GPA revision as much as it is their actual.
But will affect their GPA though.
It will, but we're not
Okay.
changing the way we
Okay.
calculate GPAs. This really applies and has come up through our math courses, because our math courses are currently the only ones that students are taking earlier in their course. So currently we have 7th and 8th graders enrolled in Algebra 1. Where typically that's not taught to the 9th grade. We have 8th graders enrolled in geometry, which typically that's not taught to the 10th grade. These are our students that really excel in math. We see these students possibly taking, Cal 1 as early as their junior year of high school. So these are students we're really trying to prepare to be college ready for calculus. And in order to do that, we feel like we really have to challenge them in more rigorous ways when they're in these algebra courses, when they're in these geometry courses, than we do the kids that are in the on-level courses. With that said, if we're going to challenge them in more rigorous ways, we feel like it's only reasonable that we compensate their GPA in some way for that. For example, we give common districts assessments in 9th grade. Because our 7th and 8th grade students are in these, what we're considering advanced courses, we challenge them in different ways. The course is taught at a more rigorous pace. It only makes sense for the district assessment to look different than it does for the on-level 9th grade algebra course. But because of that, we feel like it's only fair to compensate their GPA in some way. The suggestion was brought up to add 10 points to their average at the end of the 9 weeks instead of going back and actually revising the GPA. Currently, right now, our GPA is calculated on regular courses on a 4.0, PLTW courses are on a 5.0, and dual credit courses are on a 6.0. We weren't necessarily recommending changing those, but just giving these students 10 extra points in the course.
So so do I get the 10 extra points at the end of the course, my overall average for the year? So if I come out for the 9 weeks, so every 9 weeks, so if my average for the first 9 weeks was a 78, you're saying that I would actually get an 88 on my report card? That would then calculate into my GPA.
It tops at 100.
You can put it in as a 100.
The system lets you do that?
Yes, well, we have to actually put in those grade marks. Right now, our grade marks in Skyward stop at 100, but we can put in those additional grade marks. The question would be how that affects the GPA in terms of the chart that we use for our GPA right now. It's not like a linear model. So like right now, if you're between a 70 and a 74, you're getting a straight 2.0. You're not getting, a 2.3 or a 2.4. So, but as the grade is higher and you get closer to that 100, there's more increments. There's like the 3.25 and the 3.5, and so we would need to know how you want that to be reflected.
So what are the courses that this will actually impact
This only
currently?
affects our math courses.
So math courses, and what courses are those specifically?
Well, right now it's algebra 1, geometry, next year impact algebra 2. And then after that, they would be in a dual credit course, so I guess it's not.
Okay.
So we're giving them 10 percentage points, on their grade, but they're still on a 4-point scale.
I don't know, thinking out loud. To me, they're in algebra 8th grade, they're in algebra in 7th grade, and geometry 8th grade, what have you. They're taking a class earlier. And I'm going by my own context. At that point in time, I don't see a need for an increase in points. I saw points added when you got into an official AP course, the best placement type course. Then there was kind of a way of saying specifically that they're in an advanced placement course that where it is advanced, more rigorous, so we bump up the scoring, if you will. I say all this because right now you have 7th and 8th graders in a class together for algebra. And I mean, you could get into the 7th graders then should have 4 points than the 8th graders because they're 2 years before they're supposed to do it. And then what happens when we start putting 8th and 9th graders together in a course, and the 9th are on level, and then the 8th are not, and so then you have the 8th graders that are doing the same content as the 9th graders, but they're going to get a bunch because they're 8th graders. I have issue with it at this early stage. I understand that the coursework is rigorous, but it's rigorous in the sense that they're doing algebra in an early grade, but that gets them to calculus. I don't think we need to be addressing or adjusting their GPA or really their grades until they get into a course that, like an AP type course or something like that. Those are my thoughts, just because
we're never going to offer an AP.
Correct, and.
So we'll have dual credit, but we'll never have AP.
Correct.
So.
And we won't ever adjust dual credit grades, will we? Will dual credit grades be?
You're on a higher GPA.
Dual credit.
So right now, the 7th and 8th graders, they're not mixed in with the regular 9th graders.
No, they're not, they're separate. And,
I'm being, come down.
No, I actually brought up these same things, and so things get done earlier, and they'll be in college earlier, which means they'll get 6 points earlier.
They're able to calculate.
And but the question was, if you actually went and sat in the 7th and 8th grade algebra course and 9th grade algebra course, they are different.
they're different.
If they take algebra as a 7th or 8th grade, does it count for their high school GPA?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So it would count if they're in the top 10% trying to get into schools?
So that was the issue.
School, my
In
children mentioned
typical
that
schools,
same
it would
thing.
be
So
called-
you take
you
algebra as 8th grade, and you get the extra points for
So in
kids
a
who aren't
typical
taking
school,
algebra.
if you're taking 8th grade, if you're taking algebra 1 in the 8th grade, it would be a pre-AP algebra 1.
So you get points.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a common practice.
Because what happens is kids decide that they're not going to take it because it is going to impact their GPA. So parents back off.
You're doing exactly the same thing and offering a 5-point, 6-point scale, 50 WN and dual credits. You're encouraging students, you're rewarding them for taking part of that advanced, harder class, and that's pretty traditional for most schools.
Typically, you have an honors track, and we don't really have what we consider to be an honors track.
And then I'll tell you why that is. It has become a huge, when we split things into 2 sections and sort of have I guess we sort of have it on track. And a lot of feedback from kids and parents about I'm in the B class. So we're charged with getting kids where they need to be, but at the same time, when you start desegregating, you got the problem of there's a perceived track that is not real, but its perception is reality.
What it was said just a second ago, though, on level kids and relief, I mean, that's the essence of it. That is grouping and labeling, you know, as it is. I mean, we can call it creativity or not. Kids are gonna know. I mean,
They do. They do
I
know. That's the conversations that.
I mean, teachers have that conversation, you know, you're my home level class, you're my GT class, you're my, you know, SPED class, or whatever it is. These comments happen, and we try to avoid them. And long way to around is put everybody in one classroom.
But which you can't do because that's,
But the grouping with AP and dual credits and even the seventh grade, that's a choice that the children make versus something that we decide as administrators that kids need to learn So the reward system is what keeping.
Are we gonna rename this course? We're gonna call it an hybrid advanced or something. Like, I think we're talking about like pre-AP or something.
Call it advanced algebra.
I mean,
Advanced.
Well, I will speak to that right now, the way that it is. I mean, we have an Algebra 1 class, and it just so happens that there are 7 8th graders in it. You know, originally we were gonna, it was considered to be split up because we struggled with the idea of whether they were gonna get GPA credits before high school or whatever. When the decision was made to go ahead and issue GPA credits for that, then it all went back to them being in one pool. So it's an Algebra 1 course, and it doesn't matter who's in it, it's an Algebra 1 course. So if you go back to the idea of splitting it into an advanced, then we go
but in
back.
Palestine, there's 2 separate rooms.
Yeah, it may be that there's separate rooms, but I'm saying in the system, an Algebra 1 class is an Algebra 1 class. There
That
is
was
no
the issue. How do you do it
distinction.
since it's the same?
Yeah.
well,
And if you're not assigning a different GPA to it, you know, like if you're saying if you're saying advanced Algebra 1 would get a higher rated GPA, and then if Algebra 1 gets the regular GPA, then there would be a need essentially to split it because you have to assign a different GPA to it in the system. But if it's the same GPA and everything else is the same, it essentially is just.
even on software, I mean, next year we're gonna have this issue. We're gonna have 9th and 10th graders in geometry. Right, so my son is gonna be a 9th grader in geometry, would in essence be the advanced. And so, but I don't want my son to be sitting next to a 10th grader who they're doing the same content in the class.
That's not how it works. It's a separate, it's already separated.
They're separate.
Like that.
So, but the idea, so that's gonna continue. I mean, when we're in high school, to make a class, I mean, have just the 10th graders are gonna be in our 10th grade geometry class and then 9th grade geometry class. Do we never see ourselves getting into a place where we have grades intermingling in their classes?
I will say right now there are some 8th graders.
Well, they do intermingle in certain courses that are not tested.
Well, I mean, what I'm getting at is that
We're sitting right beside each other, and I know I'm going to get 10 extra points at the end of my 9 weeks, and Lamb's not.
But I'm saying,
Yeah.
they're not taking,
Yeah.
if you look at the
No,
courses, they are not.
I'm getting the 10 extra. You're not.
But
Our bond. That's
But they're
right.
doing different.
what I'm saying is that
But
we're
it's
saying we're establishing a culture right now where we're in essence gonna say all the 9th graders in algebra will never, I mean, that, and when they get to geometry, that they're not gonna be, the 9th graders coming up that are gonna be in geometry aren't gonna be in classes. Can we say that for sure, that we're not gonna get to a place?
no, I don't think we can.
I don't think we can.
I will say right now there are.
If
8th
you're going to
graders
go
that-
down an advanced versus
But we're not
regular,
creating
then that
advanced.
is, that would be. You
But we're
would-
not
you
creating
have to say
advanced, we're not creating specific advanced tracks. I don't hear us saying that. We're saying, I mean, it's pretty obvious, we got middle school, 7th, 8th graders taking algebra. It's pretty simple to say, all right, 7th, 8th, middle school kids taking algebra, geometry, that's kind of advanced, we can get a GPA. I see that happen, but I mean, we're only 1 year into having high school. Next year, and then the next year, when we have, what happens when we have 11th grader taking geometry, we have 10th grade taking geometry, when it comes to the scheduling and all that, we gotta put some kids where they need to go. And now we have 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grader in one geometry class, we taught geometry, but now we're saying the 9th grade.
So if they're there, we'd have to subtract points from that.
Yeah. Oh. Yes, if we continue with that.
Can I throw this out there? Can we table this?
Sure.
We don't have enough
Right,
information.
right.
I mean, we didn't get anything.
We'll come back with some different models. We were just trying to think of a way to
Man, I understand
Maybe
about
we-
the,
Would it fit if we did it for until ninth grade? We did it for 7th and 8th graders, and in 9th grade, we don't do that anymore. It doesn't matter if you're in 9th
Is that an
grade.
option?
I don't know, I mean,
I just don't do that. I just love, I mean,
But what happens then is, there's pretty good evidence from other schools, if you don't have an incentive, I'll just take the regular course, which is actually detrimental to the kid.
then I say, talk to the parents. I mean, I'm just,
I know what you're saying.
I'm here, and this is.
We'll come back with some
I think,
different
yeah,
models.
yeah. We'll look at some other schools, yeah.
Well, we
If
have,
you have some ideas, please share them.
Yeah, kind of look that up as
I
well.
would say that the reason it came up right now is because this is really like, you're right, we're just venturing into high school. Jada and I, or when we all sat down and created these GPAs, this wasn't in our mind. The reality though is this is already happening in these courses. These 7th and 8th grade algebra courses are already being taught just simply by the teacher, you know, in different cases at a more rigorous level than the 9th grade. And we're about to issue semester grades. And right now, in my mind, it doesn't look fair that a 9th grader that has been delivered nothing but straight Algebra 1 content receives an A, but then the 7th and 8th graders who have got that same content plus so much more gets a B, and
And
those
they
are both
also-
going on my
And they
report
also
card.
outperform the 9th graders on the benchmarks by
Right, so
considerable
that's why
amounts.
this came up right now, and I know we can table it, but
I know.
graduating report cards are coming
Think of
out.
some, we got some,
I
we'll
get
figure
it,
it out.
I'll get it.
I agree. Well, and I
So
will,
we
We
got to
have-
figure something to make it percent.
well, and I will say that, we discussed putting the GPAs and the ranking and all that on the report cards, and if we haven't made a decision on this, I just suggest we just give them their numeric grade and leave it at that, so it's all, because I don't want to, it to, get affected, and they, why we get on back.
I mean,
Yeah, we can go, but, well, it's more complicated, once you make how's the retroactive, whatever your kid's on right now, whatever we've already approved, they get to use until they graduate, isn't that right? So if we make a change, it really only applies to next year's students. Does it make sense to everybody? It's kind of like being on
When
the
they first
catalog
enter.
when you're admitted into college.
this year, it wouldn't affect the kids, it wouldn't affect the kids you're taking
Well,
classes this year.
Yeah, I
It
know
would if
It
it's-
could, because we haven't actually posted our first.
So then would it be fair if we approved it in the future?
Well, then-
I mean, I would definitely be concerned if I found out that my kid didn't get the 10 points, but kids in the future do get the 10
It
points.
really
But I
affects
guess
your
you're my
class.
GPA, my
It
class,
affects your
yeah,
class.
okay.
It is a parent.
So-
Right, myself, only compared to the
so Dr. Dykes, do you want to put that in the form of a motion to postpone?
Okay.
So we do have a motion to postpone the action.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
All right, the next area we're going to discuss is the superintendent's report. The first bullet there is district enrollment. So you can look from the back of your packet, if you want to count 3 pages from the back, you will see our current district enrollment as of January the 11th. Give everybody a chance to turn to that if they'd like. And you can see in Tyler, we have 239, in Longview 140, and Palestine 166, with a total of 545. And I do think that did increase slightly since by, I think, 5 or 6 students since we returned from the Christmas break. So that has increased a little bit. I do want to congratulate, looking at our overall attendance percentages. As you can see, those have increased and remained at a high level across the district. So district average attendance is 97.
Do you attribute that to our time that we changed?
I have to say I attribute that to the leadership on each campus and the systems that we have in place now to monitor attendance. So basically our directors every day work with the admins. They look at a list of students that are absent. Those students get a personal phone call from the admin if the parent has not already called in. They get a call through our system that tells them that child is not here today as well. So I think it's just a system that we have now in place. We have
we have attendance meetings. So there are teams on each campus where at a certain time in the year, they will meet as a team with parents, with students that are close to not meeting that 90% attendance rule, to talk to them about the repercussions of that and also develop a plan to support their child to ensure they are in attendance. So I think the overall culture has changed. Good leadership of monitoring that, holding parents accountable, and making sure they understand that is where we get our funding, and that is not an IA rule. Sometimes what we have found is parents think that's just a rule we put in place. So we just picked 90%, and we're harassing them about their child not being in attendance. And what we have to then is show them the law to say, do you understand after so many days, after your child misses so many days, a committee can't even make a decision of placement. Your child will be retained. And once you show them the law and hold them accountable, then I think that in turn that they make the self-improvement. So.
Mr. Parkinson, we're below, we budgeted 93 or 94%. Do you know? 96.
This 97% is really elementary rates. So
yeah.
It's really going to trace whenever our high school.
Yeah.
Well, do you bring up high school? Do we see a difference in 76 ninth graders and their attendance rate versus the other, like the 83 graders?
This 97% includes high school.
No, I'm just saying when you break it up.
Broken down.
Oh, the difference.
Like, do we think that when we have another high school grade that?
No, our high school kids are there. I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. No. Yeah.
Interesting question.
Yeah, easily.
Yes, it can be. I will say that the attendance at the high school level, well, actually from 7th grade on up, is done by period because of the 90% rule. Because a 7th through 12th grader can essentially be lose credit in a particular course. So like if they're in Algebra 1 and they don't have 90% attendance in Algebra 1, they can lose that credit, even if their attendance overall is above the 90%.
We still got paid for them, but they didn't get credit, because they were there at 9 o'clock when we took official attendance, but
They may
if
have
they
left.
9:10, they failed, but we still got paid.
If they left early and their last class was Algebra 1, or they consistently show up late and their first class is Algebra 1, then they would lose that credit, but they would still be in attendance. So 7th through 12th grade do get attendance taken by period. And there's one period in the day for them that actually counts towards this percentage rate, which is what the state considers to be our snapshot period.
China, how do we count the 90% attendance now since we're on minutes instead of days? Do we
Well,
count-
that all really hasn't been hashed out yet,
Not
and it hasn't really even been published in the attendance accounting handbook as to how that's gonna take place. I mean, really, the attendance accounting aspect, they have mentioned will still be on a daily type thing. But it's up to our calendar to show what time we start and what time we stop every day, and how many days of instruction we have will determine whether we've met the minutes for our school district. Now, for a student, for the 90% rule, I think it's still gonna boil down to days.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out.
They did take a lot of that into consideration.
All right. The next item is budget updates. Christian, do you have anything on that? Okay.
If y'all look at the sheet, the spreadsheet with green lines across it, look at the second sheet, it's going to show you that we've received a little over $1 million in revenue so far as of November 30th, and then we've spent as of November 30th, $1.3 million. Any questions?
So you said we got.
Yes.
And that changes that. There's objections in every month.
Yes.
So we may
We'll catch up.
catch up.
And it's a few $100,000.
And all of the expenses are less than the revenues. No. It's different. So like overall expenses, that far column, 3.1, expended 3.1, was that the budget? Far right column?
It's a balance. That's a balance off of the adopted budget. So
We're still expecting another 3.4 million. We're still expecting to spend another 3.1 million between now and then.
Any other information, questions?
On the audit that we just got, on page 41 of the audit, we have the original budget and then looking at total revenues. And I know this was ended August 31st, and hopefully we're under total revenues 520, where it's 4,294,000, right? Was our original budget. Then we finalized it, we upped that, we said we thought we would even get more money. And then in reality, we got $716,000 less than we thought. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're off by 16% between what we had estimated and what we actually got. And I know this was, are we hoping this year, because we talked about that, let's just aim low and be happily surprised rather than aim high and always end up short.
So in the charter realm, trying to predict a budget is very difficult. And
It's difficult.
I can tell you that
It's difficult.
They only turn in budget predictions every other year because they just, it's 1 or 2% variance. Charters are 10 to 20% variance all the time. So what we've done, we've given you our best prediction, but we build in a lot of play so that if it doesn't happen, we start backing out.
Right, because I remember the discussion, we said, let's
It's not the best practice.
estimate our numbers low and estimate our attendance not at 98, let's say 96. And that way we aren't always having to move money around to cover.
And it's never been to the point that we've had, so for instance, on this particular thing, whenever we adopted this budget, we said that we were going to have 580 students and we actually had 545. So where we make it up, well, there was 2 teachers that would have less than what we projected to have. So that's kind of the way that we do it, even though we may adopt it at 580. That's based on that enrollment. That enrollment doesn't happen, and that staff doesn't.
This current year, we based it on 580.
Yes. And if you remember, and see, this is where the problem lies. Whenever we started school year, we had 640 commitments to start school year. So we based it on 580, expecting to lose a percentage of it. And it's just extremely difficult to predict.
Yeah.
And the big picture is on the SOF, every month, when we get that check from the state, we can go in the system and every 6 weeks, we submit them a report and they readjust our balances. So like we can go in there and see like, oh, our monthly payments are, this amount. Well, when we submit our next 6-week report and they look at the actual enrollments, the actual attendance, they go through and they take those payments that were projected and they adjust them. So we can see that we're no longer going to get this amount, we're going to get this amount instead. So that allows us to go in. So if you look on that same page you were referencing, that's the total expenditures, we had planned on spending 587,000 more than we actually spent.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were seeing that balance dropping, we started adjusting our spending. So we planned on spending 587,000 more than we actually spent because we realized we don't have money to spend.
Right.
So.
I wish it was tighter and cleaner, but I don't know any other way to do it.
And it is an ISD, but it's just the charter is difficult. You're exactly right. Any other questions? The next item C is the annual board training. I just want to bring this to the board's attention. We are required to complete annual training every year. Dr. Hickey has agreed to administer our training. You all will be receiving a calendar invite. The date that we've agreed upon at this point is Tuesday, April the 12th. The meeting will be held here in this room from 9 till around 2. Tuesday, April the 12th, and we hope that we pushed it as far back as that everybody will be able to make that meeting. It will be a working lunch because we have to clock so many hours, and then there will be some independent study as well. So he's telling me that he's going to try to get us in and out within about 4 hours or so. So I'm working with him on that schedule as well. So, but please go ahead and mark your calendars. I think Jamie, I did send y'all that information, and Amanda should be sending out a calendar invite to everyone. Tuesday, April the 12th, here from 9 to 2. Any questions? The next item is marketing. I just want to note that we did do some marketing over the extended break. We do had a banner in the Tyler Broadway Square Mall that drew some publicity. We also utilized some radio ads. We have created a brochure that we will be
have available to any interested parents on each campus as well. And I'll pass this copy of this around. And then we're also creating a packet. So in the event that a parent shows up on our campus and they say, I've heard about your school, I'm interested in some information, that we can actually give them a folder that pretty much explains a little bit about the school that they can take away with them, and then hopefully schedule a invite back as well. We will be having buddy days on each campus. We did this last year. Basically, this is where you can invite one of your friends from another school or homeschool or to come to school with you that day, and we get complete a series of paperwork on each child, and so that they can come and get a feel for the Innovation Academy. So doing different things to promote the school, and also get an opportunity to share the great things that we're doing with other families. Here. Yes. On the 12th of April. Okay. All right. Well, we can, I'll get with Dr. Hickey and try to look at another date. So that whole, so you're saying the whole week of the 12th, that whole week? Okay.
I'm coming back.
Okay. Okay. All right. We'll look at that. So, any other questions about marketing? And I'll get you guys some other dates. Administrative updates, just to kind of let the board know, we did have a leadership retreat with school, kind of the leadership team, and that went really well. Spent 2 days off campus at the DSP, and I brought in directors and key individuals, part of the school faculty, and just really looked at our charter. We looked at, really a focus on identifying and reviewing who we are, and making sure that we are really focused on building in the areas in which we have noted that that's who we're all about. And making sure that we're spending the time, the money, the investment, and putting in the resources. If we say that we're going to have PLTW, are we putting in those resources to support PLTW? If we're talking about having project based learning, are the resources there, are the support there for teachers? What can we do to improve in that area? So some really good conversations, 2 days of basically sitting at a table very similar to this for 8 hours each day, and then developing a plan. So we now, once we've agreed upon this is who we are, and then we began to look at a plan of how are we going to make sure that we're holding true to those things, and what are our actions in the future. So really productive 2 days. Looking forward to meeting back as well, and in doing some breakout sessions to really focus in on those areas. So just wanted you to know that we're very proud of the improvements that the school has made, but we know that there are areas that we want to continue to improve in. And so as a board, as a superintendent, I want the board to know that those areas are being looked at closely, and as we discuss those things, plans are in place to improve in all areas: curriculum, assessments, operations. One thing that we've talked about is facilities are sometimes some things that we may not have control of, and some of the other things we may not have control of. We'll probably have a football team, and so we just got to come to accept that and make sure that we continue to communicate to parents who we are, but also make sure that we're not sending mixed messages about who we might potentially be in the future because of the so many unknowns out there. So really good conversations that have taken place over the last couple of days.
We thank you for all the work that you and your team did.
I thought it was like an hour ago. Then they started passing them out. I'm like, oh, well, everybody got to see it.
Oh, is it Brand? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad you saw it, because I didn't do this. So, but anyway, good that we caught it. That's why.
I'm sorry, you done?
Yes. So no, that's everything. So we're going to do it. Oh, did you have a question?
Yes.
Something that wanted.
The college readiness scores that the kids took, the test they took today, how they do?
Oh, great. Let's share that.
District-wide, out of not all 9 parents chose to take it, but out of the 9 parents that did choose to take it, 75 of them chose to take it, 25 of them met the test score, so 33%.
Okay. That's way higher than what we expected.
Yes, yes.
Okay, some eighth
Yes.
graders took it.
The 3 8th graders that took it, they all 3 months.
But
Yes.
they can't,
They can't enroll
they
right
can't
now,
roll the
but
college process.
it,
Oh, it was just practice, so it's like a PSAT.
well, it'll work.
It'll
I just picked it up too.
Last hour, I mean, if we need to add an hour next year, I mean, if you look at the after-school program, and I don't know how big it is at the other campuses, but it's pretty big at Towson.
I mean,
Is it? Okay. The first hour is homework. I mean, why don't, I mean, we don't have to add class, we just have.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, this maps course. Yeah.
Dr. Vaughn, last time you brought up, kind of our purview, what's under our stuff, and then you sent out a document yesterday about that.
I responded to that document she sent out.
Right.
If you take a look at the audit on page 27, it states what our responsibilities are.
Okay.
Page 27,
It's under A. Page 27, it's under.
I think you were reading from, as approved in the charter application, the chief administrative officer of the school is the superintendent of the school. The superintendent reports to the school board, which reports to the president of UT Tyler, who is ultimately responsible to the University of Texas system, Board of Regents, appointed by the governor of the state of Texas and confirmed by the Texas Senate. The reporting structure effectively outlines the governing body of the school, with the president and the regents retaining final oversight. The board works to ensure effective operation of the school. The UT Tyler faculty provides educational curriculum to grade 3 through grade 9. So basically it's saying that,
Supported by UTT.
yeah, but the system.
Directly and indirectly.
the system holds the charter for us, Permian Basin and Austin School. They are the ultimate authority. Now, they choose not to participate, but they could. Anytime
So
they
it's
want
just an
to.
oversight.
All right, so you want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion?
Oh, we do.
Second.
Okay, yeah,
Second?
go ahead and adjourn. That's right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dennis, you forgot. There is a video for the,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I turn this off? Or
Yes.
turn it around?
Yeah.
Turn it off.
okay, so
Oh, turn it off,
I
Mike.
didn't
Mike,
realize.
do you turn that off?
We have 75 total 9th graders. They didn't all take it.